Want to share with you some good updates coming from Gaza. Obviously, nothing is good when it comes to Gaza because of the genocide happening. Nevertheless, I do have some updates that I think you will find very, very interesting that I want to share with you in this video. As we have seen in the picture just now, this guy was killed. This guy was a sniper for the Israeli army, I believe, or he was sniped. And it is not being taken lightly by the Zionist forces. They're freaking out. They're inspiring, they're encouraging their troops to continue on this genocide. You can see Israel Katz, many other Israeli leaders are coming out in the public and encouraging, giving them speeches after speeches and lectures after lectures to continue the fight. In fact, the other day, Netanyahu's speech, UN speech, was broadcasted in Gaza for the residents of Gaza to hear his speech, also for IDF really to hear his speech and get motivated and know why they are there. Of course, they will not be telling them you are committing genocide, good job, keep on doing that. They are going to be telling them this is all self-defense. I will break down everything in details for you because thousands of fighters are joining in Gaza to fight these genocidal maniacs, the Zionist state of Israel and its forces, and I'll break down everything in details. But before I do that, if you're not subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Let's go one by one of these pictures. So what you are seeing right now, these are all live footages coming from Gaza, and quite evidently from this picture you can see that these are Israeli tanks. They are lined up to invade more lands, to go more deeper inside of Gaza in order to eliminate the resistant forces from there. What is happening? This news is actually coming from BBC too. They have reported that Hamas, they're not just winning the battle, but also they are now regrouping. They're now regrouping and they are now changing their tactics of their fight to street fight. They are not fighting, they are not just ambushing them, they are not just fighting in the open places, they are also conducting a street fight. And this is because, as you can imagine, Hamas, they know the streets, they know every corner of Gaza because they lived there, and therefore we are seeing a lot of civilians are fleeing. Hundreds and thousands of them are fleeing the Gaza city central because of this bombardment and fighting breaking out. And of course, when you bring in your tanks and all of these other equipments, military equipments, heavy machineries into residential areas to fight your enemy, then of course that place is not safe anymore for anyone. Now we have some reports from IDF that IDF, they are now saying if we can clear the Hamas fighters from Gaza, then we'll be all good. It will be a very decisive victory for us, and that's why they're focusing on Gaza city central heavily, because they believe somehow they can corner these resistance forces fighters in one place and then try to annihilate them all together. The primary reason, as we know, for this ground invasion or this genocide, according to IDF, it is to eliminate the place from Hamas, plus to bring back the remaining hostages, those who are still alive. They are looking for them. Can you imagine? They are bringing tanks and heavy machineries to look for their hostages. Are they going to be alive after those machines, those tanks, they start firing Hamas fighters? I don't think anybody will be alive, let alone these hostages who are not armed whatsoever. But that's what they say is the plan, that we are here to bring our hostages back home. But of course, these are all PR propaganda. Now BBC, as I've mentioned, they have verified one particular image of Israeli tank at Hamid Junction. Now the reason it is being reported from BBC is to focus on the success of IDF. As we know, BBC is a mouthpiece for the Zionists. This is what they have reported, that they have witnessed and they have verified, quote unquote, we have verified that around 1.5 kilometer on 0.9 miles from the central Al-Shifa hospital, they have seen Israeli tanks. Israeli armored vehicles were also reportedly seen close to the main UN compound in southern Gaza City, about 70 kilometers from the center. Okay, so again, this is being reported from BBC, just to show us that Hamas, the IDF forces, they are there. Now we have other reports that said that the BBC, actually this is actually coming from BBC again, they have spoken to Hamas figures, one Hamas figure they've spoken to, who claims that the militant group is willing to call thousands of fighters into the city. Now, this report was published 2 days ago. Therefore, by now, I'm pretty sure all of these military fighters, these Western forces fighters, they're also already inside of Gaza city center. The reason for that is because Mohammed Daif, the main command of Hamas, of the Western forces fighter who passed away, before he died, he said basically that all Hamas fighters should be inside of Gaza city now. They should not be dispersed, they should not be scattered all throughout Gaza Strip. They should concentrate and focus on the Gaza city center where the main battle is taking place. And therefore, I'm pretty sure that this is the strategy that Hamas is following. But again, we do not know. They might have a smarter, better plan. We do not know. Raising the fear of intense fighting in dense urban areas where thousands of civilians remain. Again, being reported from BBC, The Great Liar. Then we have Israel. This is also what is being reported. Israel has been trying to destroy the tunnels in Gaza to stop the militants, using them for surprise attacks. The tunnel has become a big headache because every time they go and fight with Hamas fighters, even though in some occasions they could be successful, IDF, but when Hamas observes or they come to know how IDF is destroying these tunnels, next time they come up with better plan so that IDF would not be able to destroy these tunnels. And a lot of the time they're fighting one-on-one when they come close to the tunnel. This is why IDF, they hate to go inside of those tunnels or even to fight from outside the tunnel. That's why they bring in explosive robot, they bring in drones, they bring in a lot of other equipments instead of going inside of those tunnels. But the Hamas militant claimed that some remained intact. So even though they are using heavy weaponries, but the tunnels remain intact, and that the group had learned from Israel's successes in destroying militant units that have attempted to hold ground in a fight. So again, they're learning from all of these successes, from quote-unquote successes from IDF in how to avoid, how to come up with a better plan. Now, what you have to understand is this part. Again, reported from BBC. The Hamas's now field commander, his name is al-Din Haddad, okay? He's the group's military commander, has ordered all available fighters across the strip to converge on the city. Means thousands of them should come and join instead of fighting on their own, okay? Telling them to prepare for a quote-unquote final decisive battle. So the rhetoric or the slogan coming from the resistance forces shows that they're very confident of winning this war. The Israeli Defense Forces or occupied forces estimated last week that up to 3,000 Hamas fighters were in the city. The Hamas figures claimed they had 5,000 fighters and threatened suicide attacks, though that has not been a tactic Hamas has used widely in this recent conflict. So they did not use this kind of tactic, suicide bombing. They did not use it widely, according to, again, coming from Western media. And this is why it is very hard for them to really change the narrative that, these are terrorist group, they blow themselves up. That is not happening in this case. They are very, very aware of this propaganda war that the Western media will wage. The BBC cannot independently verify these figures, means the Hamas figures, and Hamas has not officially commented, but these are reports coming from Hamas fighters on the street, so they do not have any official statement as to how they are fighting and how many fighters are inside of the main city center to repel the attacks, the genocide being committed by the Zionist forces. I'll give you more updates. Subscribe to my channel.